Listen, I don't know if it's because of this existential crisis that I just had, but I just keep on falling into the habit of judging creative projects before they come out. I know, I should give these artists a chance. After all, summoning up the courage to take on a fan favorite character in a new and interesting direction while honoring the character's past is a pretty daunting task. But something needs to be said here about Nightwing. For those of you who don't know, Tom Taylor is exiting from his run on the Nightwing character, and Dan Watters is now in charge of Dick Grayson. Now, I'm sure Dan Watters is a talented writer, but when it comes to Nightwing, special care and attention is needed to handle the character. To me, Tom Taylor set the bar so high that I'm not sure anyone will be able to achieve what he has with the Dick Grayson character. In this video, I'm going to go over why Tom Taylor's run was so spectacular and why Dan Watters has his work cut out for him. But before we move on, please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Reverb Comics. You do not want to miss out on our awesome content. Tom Taylor really nailed it with the character by developing him into a really healthy masculine role model. Even though he's extremely talented, smart, and amazing with the ladies, there's nobody who I can think of who's jealous of Nightwing, myself included. And that's pretty much because Tom Taylor wrote him as a guy who's not a jerk. In fact, he's depicted as the total opposite of a jerk. He lifts so many people up. He lifts Tim up when he's struggling with his confidence, he lifts Damian up when he's struggling with not being a dysfunctional human being, and he even lifted Jason Todd up when he was framed for killing FBI agents. That's right, when video leaked of a Red Hood lookalike killing FBI agents, Nightwing immediately gave Jason the benefit of the doubt and helped him clear his name. It turns out it was Clayface who shapeshifted to look like the Red Hood so that he could take the fall for his crimes. Tom Taylor truly made Nightwing into the guy who's amazing with people. He's so good with people that he eventually led the Titans when they were in charge of protecting the world after the Justice League disbanded. He basically led the Justice League 2.0. This is a huge defining trait that Tom Taylor added to the Nightwing character. Don't believe me? Look at what happened in the Absolute Power story arc. When Amanda Waller plotted and schemed to rob our heroes of their superpowers, guess who stepped in when the Justice League and the Titans were in disarray? Our boy Nightwing stepped up to the occasion. If it wasn't for Tom Taylor, Nightwing would not be the new de facto leader of the DC universe. For me personally, I really loved what Tom Taylor did with the character when the Magistrate came around. Just to bring you up to speed with that story arc, Scarecrow did some pretty crazy stuff which led to Gotham hiring a private military contract. These high-tech military dudes were the polar opposite to Nightwing. Instead of being like Nightwing and operating with a courageous type of trust with citizens, the government and the Magistrate forced a curfew on Gotham. In other words, they abused their power, took freedoms away from citizens, and used public safety as a justification for using force on citizens who did not agree with the rules. This was a really nice juxtaposition to have them go up against Nightwing, as we all know that he's not like the Magistrate whatsoever. Our boy Nightwing just does what's right, trusts people, and lets them be free. Not to mention, he doesn't let his pride get the best of him. When the Magistrate got the drop on him, Nightwing was screwed for a sec until Batman saved him. Now, if that was a cocky character like Guy Gardner who got saved by Batman, he probably would not thank Bruce. But Nightwing doesn't let his ego get the best of him. Even though he didn't have to, Nightwing thanked Batman for his help. Now, not only did Tom Taylor turn Nightwing into an amazing leader and an all-around decent person, but he also did something very interesting and grounded with Dick Grayson. He gave Nightwing the yips. The jumping yips, that is. In this series, he developed a huge phobia of jumping. As you can imagine, this became very problematic for the world's greatest acrobat. What was really interesting was how Nightwing and his friends reacted to this. Even though Dick was extremely anxious about jumping, he didn't really get embarrassed or ashamed. He didn't let his hiccup get in the way of his self-esteem. Even Batman, of all people, was super kind and supportive to Nightwing. When Nightwing went off to Nanda Parbat to get over his phobia, Batman put on the Nightwing suit and stepped in as the protector of Bloodhaven. And as you'd expect, Dick eventually got over his fears and continues on as Nightwing. I think it's safe to say that the Tom Taylor version of Nightwing is the best version of Nightwing. He gained everyone's trust, didn't let his pride get the best of him, and overcame really big obstacles. The Nightwing we saw from the Chuck Dixon run, the Batman, the animated series, and the Young Justice cartoon just could not reach the same heights as the Tom Taylor's take on the character. The Chuck Dixon Nightwing said a couple of dickish stuff every once in a while. The Nightwing from the Batman, the animated series, held a pretty big grudge against Batman for a pretty long time, and even though the Nightwing from the Young Justice cartoon was really great, he still made the mistake of keeping secrets from his teammates. The Tom Taylor Nightwing did absolutely none of that. He made amends with everyone, he kept his ego in check, and he did not keep secrets from his teammates. When asked, he straight up admitted to the Titans that he has a Tower of Babel protocol for everyone in case they go rogue. This version of Nightwing was just so healthy. He's straight up Ted Lasso if Ted Lasso was a superhero. I think the only controversial thing Tom Taylor did with Nightwing was choosing to have him officially tie the knot with Barbara Gordon. I don't know about you, but I'm a Team Starfire kind of guy. They're just perfect for each other. So with all that said and done, I just don't know how Dan Matters is going to handle this. Like, what's he going to do with Nightwing at this point? Just introduce some unnecessary interpersonal drama? Dan Matters is on a pretty tight rope if you think about it. If he makes any mistakes, he could risk ruining Nightwing's healthy and positive masculinity. Man, I love Nightwing. Just please, Dan Matters, whatever you do, just don't mess this up. Even Superman admitted that Dick Grayson is his favorite Robin. And even before Tom Taylor came around, Nightwing was a trendsetter. He was the first sidekick to actually grow up and become a hero of his own. If it wasn't for him, Wally West wouldn't have gone from being Kid Flash to the Flash, Roy Harper would have never went from being Speedy to Arsenal/Red Arrow, and Donna Troy would have never went from being Wonder Girl to Troya. He killed it filling in for Batman twice, and he held his own with the most dangerous people on the planet like Ra's al Ghul, Talon, and Deathstroke. So DC Comics, I ask you one simple question. What else can you do with the Nightwing character to keep things fresh? What new and exciting thing can you do with Dick Grayson? Cause let me tell you, people really hate it when Nightwing gets handled poorly. The creatives on the Harley Quinn and Titan show really dropped the ball with the character. For whatever reason, the writers on the Harley Quinn show decided to turn him into an insecure and fearful dude who, I kid you not, strip-teased for the camera. The writers on the show did not even treat his death with any respect whatsoever. After he died, they just kept on rolling on with the butt jokes. I mean, listen, I get it. He's the most sexualized comic book character of all time. The ladies love his ass. It's nice to give a nod to that aspect of the character, but maybe, just maybe, try and treat the guy with respect after he dies. I don't know why his casket had a giant butt on it. Harley Quinn is a great show, but they took it way too far with their disrespect for Nightwing. And the Titans had the most bland and uninspiring take on Dick Grayson I've ever seen in my entire life. Instead of him showcasing any charisma or charm, they decided to make him into this tortured guy who had deep anger issues over the fact that Batman weaponized his childhood. This Nightwing just sucked because he wasn't even Nightwing. He was just another Batman. He was angry, closed off, and kept secrets from his friends. He did not even lift up any of his teammates. He pretty much just bossed everyone around and did his own thing. And don't even get me started on how he became Nightwing. Instead of getting a pep talk from Superman to take on the Nightwing mantle, he beat up a cop and went to jail to try and get a sense of atonement for being a jerk to his friends. Then he heard a tale about a Nightwing spirit or something from one of his jailmates and decided to become Nightwing after that. Maybe, I don't know, I kind of zoned out of that show halfway through the second season because everything was just so bland. The only thing they got right was the fact that he was very good with the ladies. Aside from that, the writers pretty much ignored the source material for the character, turned him into Batman, and made him into the most uninspiring version of the character I've ever seen in my entire life. In terms of story suggestions, I really wish Dan Matters would put Nightwing into a position where he has no choice but to compromise his moral integrity. You know, something like what happened in the Teen Titans cartoon. I thought it was pretty smart when the writers had him take on a fake supervillain identity to try and gain trust with Deathstroke. Having him deal with the consequences of going behind his team's back as Red X made for some pretty interesting storytelling. Also, having Deathstroke blackmail him into being his apprentice was amazing storytelling as well. For those of you who don't know, Deathstroke infected the rest of the Titans with these nanites that could kill them on command. He put Dick in a position where he had no choice but to compromise his moral integrity, as he pretty much had to do what Deathstroke wanted him to do to keep his friends alive. I don't know about you, but to me, this really humanized the Dick Grayson character. If Dan Matters put Nightwing in a position where, let's say, he had to kill someone to save a life, that would be pretty interesting. Nightwing's amazing and all, but an argument can be made that he's just too perfect. Putting the character's humanity at the forefront would be a much needed direction to take the character in, given the fact that he's accomplished so much and he's gained so much trust with everyone in the DC universe. But only time will tell if Dan Matters does a great job with Nightwing. I'm sure he'll do pretty well. I wish the creatives at DC would end things on a high note with the character as opposed to creating these never-ending stories all the time. But what do you think? Do you think that this next Nightwing series will be amazing? Do you think they should have ended things with Tom Taylor's run? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Reverb Comics so that you do not miss out on our awesome content. Stay groovy.